All right. Howdy, everyone. This is Sharon, the founder of Self Care for Black Men, and we are here for Voices for Black Men. And today we have a guest, Michael Walton, who is the founder of the Man Initiative. And we're going to hear from him in a moment. But before we start, as usual, with Self Care for Black Men, one of the things that we do is integrate self care in everything that we do. So, in doing that, I always start these with a moment of silence because the way that the world is and the way that the world had taught us is just to keep moving and to go to place without really taking time to tune into ourselves. So, we're going to take a moment of deep breathing and just touch in with ourselves. And so wherever you are, sit or stand. If you're driving, just listen. But sit and stand with your feet grounded into Mother Earth, and then align your back and relax your shoulders, and then glaze your eyes towards Mother Earth. And you can place your hands on your lap, on your knees, or whatever is comfortable. And let's take a deep breath from your belly and all the way up through your nose. And then we're going to exhale. And let's do that two more times. And this time on your own again. Inhale through your belly and exhale. Just let all of that air out. And let's do that again. And now center your heart with the rhythm of your breath and just breathe. And as you breathe in, just tune in to parts of yourself that you may feel some tension, and just breathe into those parts that you feel tension. And with each breath, feel those parts relax just a little more, have a little less tension. And it can be your shoulders, your neck, your stomach, and just breathe into those areas. And with each breath, allow yourself to relax. And now slowly breathe in through your nose and slowly exhale through your nose. Let's do that again. Slowly inhale through your nose and exhale through your nose. One last time. Inhale and exhale. And bring your attention back to the surface. And gently open your eyes. And so thank you for joining us into this. And again, the reason that we do this is because, it really helps centralize, ground us to the present moment. Because again, when it comes to life, we're in and out of different places. And in order to um, be where we are, we need to be within ourselves. So again, thank you, thank you. And so again, our guest is Michael Walton. He is the founder of the Man Initiative. And so, Michael, just tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, so as you said, Michael Walton, founder of the Man Initiative. I am Air Force retired after 20 years, but I started the Man Initiative back in 2014, and really was just a way just to express for Black men, just hey, we're not what the media portrays us to be. We're not thugs, we're not drug dealers, we're not just nincompoops and just incompetent of doing things. So I was like, I know a lot of Black men who are just doing great things. So I really wanted to highlight that. But as I progressed on, it took a different turn, took a different mission to the point. So you know what? I really want to help men to get to a place in their life that they feel like they don't have to be in that box no more. They don't have to be stuck in that place or something they may have created for themselves or built for themselves, or maybe even allow themselves to get backed up into. And that's when I came out, hey, with the warrior mindset. So warrior mindset is pretty much just saying, hey, look, we are not beasts, we are warriors. And warriors do three things. Warriors assess, plan, and attack. That's what warriors do. So taking that concept and applying that to the lives of men and say, hey, assess what's going on currently in your life. Identify these things that you don't like. Now let's come up with a strategic plan to deal with those things. And then the last part, we got to attack it. And so that's what we go forth out to do. But really, just helping men to take the initiative to be better for themselves, first and foremost, so they can be better for everybody else. Yeah.
Yeah, most definitely. And that's something that men definitely need, when it comes to everything that you just said. And one thing that really stuck out, in which I guess you say that resonates with me personally, I guess you say personally and professionally, especially as I branch out, is the planning piece of warrior. And one thing that I've come to realize, every household is different, so sometimes you may be exposed to certain things. And, but one thing that I would just say that may be a theme, again, I can't speak for, I'm not saying all, I just say some, I can't even say majority because I don't know what the numbers are. But, when it really comes to planning for our future, someone may ask us, what do we want to be? And you go to school and this, that, and the other, and that's it. But there's still not much planning,
Mm-hmm.
Can you talk a little bit just about like, what does that mean? What does it mean to you? What does it mean? And how can Black men really use that to their advantage?
I think, the way I look at it when it comes to the whole planning process is knowing what we really want, like setting some attainable goals. And I think a lot of times when we hear the word goals, we think like this laundry list of things. I got to have like 10 goals, but no, it can actually be two goals. So we're coming up with some specific goals that we want to achieve, and say, hey, I'm going to work on these two things for the next month or whatever. So we have to come up with the goals, and we have to come up with a time frame to make sure that we can stick to the course at hand. So when it comes down to planning, like I said, you have to be very strategic about planning. What do we want to do? What results are we looking for? And how long do we think it's going to take until we get said result? Now, some things we really can't put a time frame on it because it may take a little bit longer. We understand life happens or anything like that, or it may just be some things. Hey, what I thought was going to be was going to take 2 months is actually taking 4 months now, and be able to be adjustable to that time frame. But I think planning is very, very vital and very important because it keeps us as men on track. It keeps us on task. Even if to the point that we don't want to do it, and as we always say, hey, we got to work on this consistency. You know, day one, day two, day three. So it's not like we just trying to focus on being consistent, but we're looking at the progress. So, oh man, it's been 5 days and I haven't done this. Or it's been 2 weeks, and I haven't done that. Or it's been 2 weeks and I went to the gym, I worked out, or I've been eating healthy, or I've been journaling, or I've been practicing meditation and all of these things. And you look at your starting point, and then you look at the current point you're at right now. And we kind of just look at the progress and say, okay, this is something that I can do. This is doable. This is attainable. And once we start seeing those small wins, it's like we want to go with it even more. So for me, planning is very, very vital. I think every man needs a plan in some shape, form, or aspect in his life to keep us on track, to keep us motivated, and so we can track those things along the way. Because think about this. When I go to the gym, I see guys up in there with full-fledged notebooks,
Wow.
they do their workouts, and they writing everything down,
Mhm.
all their gains, their reps and things like that, like just big old notebooks. And I see some guys with small notebooks. So I'm just saying, if men are willing to do that in the gym just for their physical, for their physical appearance and staying in shape and things like that, I think it's right that we do it for our mental state as well and our emotional state. So I think planning is very vital.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you, most definitely. And so when it comes to like one of the things that we're going to talk about today, or that we're talking about today, is the power of rewriting your story. And so when it comes to even a person's story, what does that mean to you? And then rewriting it, how is that important to rewrite a person one's story?
I think everybody loves a good book. They love to see, oh man, this person went through this, but by the end of the book, they're achieved so much success or so many significant changes has happened. Even in movies, we all go to movies, we always want the good guy to win, And sometimes when we watch those movies, they have a plot twist and the bad guy wins, we're like, oh no, that's not supposed to happen. So for me, when it comes down to the power of writing the story, it's like, hey, take yourself out of being the bad guy. Because here's the thing, we're going to be the bad guy in somebody else's story, but that doesn't mean we have to be the bad guy in our own story. So that's the thing. So along with that, and I use myself as an example, that being in a place of just kind of down and out, depressed, a lot of frustration and things like that, I knew I had to do something about that. But then just kind of holding on to the words and things that were said to me over the years, I held on to that stuff. And that wasn't good for me. But the longer I held on to it, the more that I started to believe it. The longer I held on to it, the more that it started to, internalize in me. And now I'm looking at myself like, you know what? Yeah, you are no good. You're not a good man. You this, you're not this and you're not that. And it goes to the point like, they were right. They were right. But then, then I had that moment of like, I call it the light bulb moment. Like, hold up, Mike, hold up. That's their perception. And even that, hey, they may be right in some of that stuff, but you can't let those things identify you for the rest of your entire life. So when we look at ourselves as men, sometimes some men, they get comfortable. I call it the diaper syndrome. They just they like it, it's comfortable, it stinks, it's nasty, but hey, it's mine and I'm gonna sit in it, And some men get to a point like, you know what, I'm tired of this. I know my potential, I know my worth, I know who I am as a man, as a person, and I really want to do something about that. So the power of rewriting your story is taking all the stuff that you view yourself as, all that bad stuff, and just really putting that to the side. And not even starting over, but you're writing another chapter. You're working on yourself. You're working on your self-growth. You're working on your mindset. You're working on your emotional intelligence. You're working on your attitude, all of these things. But you're working on it for the good. Let me work on me. Let me do me. Let me pull back for some things. Let me pull back on some people and let me refocus on me, because I know how it is to listen to other people say all the bad stuff. But now I'm taking the time to water myself. So make sure that I'm well and I'm good. So for me, I did that. And when I say the power of rewriting your story, it's not actually going down and just writing a book.
Mhm.
You're just making significant changes. So when people see you, they be like, I remember when you used to do this. I remember you used to do that. Well, I remember way back then, oh, you was a heavy drinker. But guess what? I'm not that person no more. That
Yeah.
person is way back there. Like my whole storyline has changed. Plot twist. I'm a new man. So that's what I want guys to do. I want guys to be able to have that and rewrite their story, those significant changes that we all need.
Yeah, because the thing is too, is that sometimes when other people have not grown either, they will go back to those moments. And so in order to rewrite your story is really important, because those individuals can kind of pull, a person down as well. And
Right.
you can pretty much, I guess you said, when you're rewriting the story, you can really separate. So like, yeah, that was something that happened in the past, but like you say, we are here now.
Right.
So how you like me now? What I mean?
Exactly. And we're doing it for ourselves. We're not doing it for nobody else.
Exactly.
So I think that's the important thing. That's the main thing. Hey, we need to do this for us, not doing it for nobody else. Now, if they see you like, oh my goodness, I'm shocked. Okay, cool. Let them be shocked, but you continue to go forward and you continue to work on your character. You continue to work on everything that you need to work on. So I just think it's so important that we just focus on that. And I'm not saying that's the main focus, but that's part of our growth. That's part of our personal development. I think everybody should focus on personal development, actually.
Oh yeah, most definitely. And I would say too, it probably is. I'll say this, whether it's the main focus, but it definitely has a highlighted theme.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because really, if we don't rewrite the story, then we stay stuck. And then there really isn't any growth, because you can accomplish the external things, with money, cars, house, and things. But if internally you haven't accomplished yourself, then you're not going to really truly be able to enjoy all those things, maybe for a moment, but they're not going to bring you that happiness. So yeah, it's really important, because when you don't, it really can. And kind of going back to what you were kind of saying in the beginning, when you were talking about rewriting the story, and I guess it coincides to what I'm just saying now too, like that guy who just really wants to stay the same. What would you say to that guy? It's kind of like, I guess you could say, like, you talked about it a little bit, but like, what is the true benefit of rewriting that story? Because me as a woman, even though it can go for men and women, but since, this is Forces for Black Men, I have to say how it impacts me. But when, as to say, if men stay stuck, in anybody though, it's like you don't realize of how that impacts other people.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So what would you say to those men? It's like, well, yeah, I know that happened to me, and this is just who I am. I'm going to continue, and whatever it is that they say.
Right. Yeah, because here's the thing, and you made a good point. What we do, what we decide to stay, if I say, you know what, I'm just going to stay who I am, I know that's going to affect other people to the point that people are not going to be bothered with me. Yeah. They're not even going to come around me, maybe not even want to talk to me.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't call Mike because he's always great. He's always complaining about something. He's always grumpy. It's always somebody else's fault. It's always just rah, 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 just grumble, 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 But I get it. Some people are really set in their ways. They do not want to change. Some men are really just set in their ways. And once I recognize that, then I put it to bed.
Yeah.
because I'm like, there's nothing that I can do if that man is not willing to
Mhm.
even listen
Mhm.
or consider. There's nothing I can do. He just set in his ways. Or maybe I'm not the voice to get across to him. Maybe it's somebody else. Because the one thing I know about us men, we're very finicky. That I can go talk to a brother and be like, and then a woman can come along and say the same thing. Boom, and there it is. There's that aha moment. And I'm not knocking that at all. But for
Mhm.
me, if I know that I'm running into that brick wall and this guy just stone face, stone wall and don't want to hear it, then that just let me know, hey, he's not going to listen. Okay, sir, respectfully, I appreciate your time. Thank you very much. And then I go about my business. But for the men who want to change, and I see that twinkle in the eye, then I will engage them and I will ask them, say, hey, look, what are you currently doing right now is not only affecting you, it's affecting others around you. You just don't see it because nobody has brought that to your attention, you know. Or if you see it, you don't care. So, and I have to ask them, what do you truly care about? What is your heart saying to you? Because you have potential, you have drive, you have these things that you want to do, but you allowing yourself to suppress that, but you're allowing the things that you need to, I ain't gonna say need to suppress, but those negative things, you'll let those negative things, drive the car and you sit in the passenger seat and
Yeah.
you're loving it. You're loving it. And I get it. You've been doing it for years.
Oh
So
yeah.
then there's routine. You
Yeah.
know, you develop a habit. So now I'm here to come in and say, hey, look, this is a habit. We need to find a way to break this habit so we can get to a place where we can start something new. You know. So yeah, I would start with them on that. Just hey, have them step back and look at the bigger picture. Because sometimes we kind of key in on those little things. We'll zero in, we put blinders on.
Yeah.
But I'll say, hey, take the blinders off, step back and look at the bigger picture and look at all of these things that you are affecting by you not wanting to make some changes within yourself.
Most definitely. And so along those lines, how can men overcome personal challenges?
I think the personal challenges part is I can't say it's easy because I know it's not because I've been there. It's
Mhm.
definitely not an easy thing. But I look at the want factor, do you really want this? And if you truly want this, you will take the time, and you apply the measures that you need to apply, to overcome those challenges. And that comes down to, hey, look, oh, let's just use this for example, that I have a issue in communicating. I don't know how to communicate. Every time somebody says something to me, I want to just lash out. Okay, so why do you want to lash out? You know, well, because as a young child, as a young man, I was always yelled at, fussed at, and things like that. And I never got that opportunity to stand up for myself. But
Mhm.
now that I'm older, you know, I'm like, hey, you're not going to talk to me like that. And sometimes it comes down to just perception like, hey, everybody that's talking to you are not coming at you like that, and you have to understand that, hey, this is a way that some people communicate. I get it and I understand where you're coming from and how you grew up, but we have to look at some actual factuals, that, we're grown men. Like me, I'm just talking man to man, like, hey, we're grown now. So we get to make some choices. So in that, you can choose to communicate better, you know. And if that's a challenge for him, and I can present that to him and paint that picture for him, and use those vivid word pictures, it's like, oh, you know what? Yeah, you're right. Because every time I talk to my friends, they say that, or I talk to my spouse and she says that, or my kids say the same thing, you know. And so now I get it. So overcoming challenges is one of those things that is very hard, but once we can paint a picture and produce those end results to the point of, hey, this is what's going to happen if you do X, Y, and Z. This is what's going to take place. This is the end result. And isn't it so much better than what you're getting right now? You know, nobody like driving a broken down car. Why? Because it doesn't move. There's
Yeah.
nothing you can do with that but get inside of it. And that's that, you know. Nobody wants to be around nobody that's negative all the time. Why? Because it drains your energy.
Mhm.
Nobody wants that. And a lot of people don't think that we can drain our own selves of our own energy.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of people
Most
they think it's
definitely.
a lot of people think it's everybody else, but no,
That's a
sometimes
mouthful right there.
sometimes it's actually us. So,
Yeah.
I think we just like I was saying, we have to identify some things and say, you
Mhm.
know what, we can come up with a plan because it's going to be different plans are going to be applicable to different men to
Mhm.
overcome, those things that they need to overcome and to get that success that they want to attain. So yeah, I would definitely start there.
Cool, cool. Yeah, and one thing, when you were talking about the person, figuring out that they're the one, who can be draining their own energy, it kind of remind me of a meme that I saw out there. I can't remember the exact wording, but something to the effect. It's like, no, it's not other people who are toxic. You realize that you're the one who is being toxic. You know what I mean?
Right, right.
Yeah.
And I see those things and I'm like, everybody, like, you can't be this perfect person and everybody around you are the ones that have issues. Like everybody else is the toxic person.
Hmm.
And I saw this meme was like, remember the old Scooby-Doo cartoons?
Hmm.
They pull off the mask on the villain and you
Hmm.
say, oh, now we get to see who's been messing up your life. And then they pull off the mask and it's the same person.
Hmm.
Like it's you. And I think
Yeah.
sometimes we have to look at ourselves and hold ourselves accountable for that,
Oh,
even to the
yeah.
point that we have an accountability partner say, hey, no, it's not nobody else, it's you. You are
Mhm.
sabotaging your own life, you are sabotaging your growth, you are sabotaging your relationships, you are sabotaging your friendships. It's you, you
Mhm.
know, and a person has to be open to receive that.
Yes.
They have to be. So
Yeah.
I think it's vital to what I like to work with people's temperament,
Mhm.
you know, because you can't talk to everybody the same way. I've learned that by being in the military. I can't go and just fuss at everybody,
Mhm.
you know.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So once I pick up on that, I know how to talk to that person. And then it's like, oh, I get it now. I understand a whole lot better because such and such was telling me the same thing, but it was kind of like just, knife
Mhm.
hand, knife hand, knife hand. And I tuned out,
Yeah. Yeah.
you know. So I mean, I love it. I love the light bulb moment. I love that moment of like, aha, I got it now, you know. So now that we got it, now we got to, practice on the application of it.
Exactly. And the application is really important.
Oh my goodness, it is. It is.
And also with some of the things that you were talking about, it pretty much aligns with self-care for Black men pillars because it's that self-awareness piece, it's that self reflection, self-evaluation, and introspection. And that is really, really big. And I would say that's why we need to do the other things, such as, sitting in silence, resting, and movement and action. Because in order for you to be able to look at yourself, even how you may react to something, and even though the cause of it may be for something in the past, but now that whether we were a child or even as a younger person or younger adult, but now where we are in our lives now, we are accountable for our own healing. And so, yeah, that is really important. And then the other thing I just kind of wanted to point out too, because you were talking about how hard, doing this work is. And I just wanted to say, because, I'm a mental health professional, I'm a licensed clinical social worker, and I've been in the field for a very long time. And one thing that I've come to realize, and, I say it's unintentional in the field, because it's like, go to therapy, go to therapy, go to therapy, go and talk to someone, go and get some help. My stance really is do what you feel you need to do, whatever that is, life coaching, talking to a therapist, talking to, a minister, a pastor, or whoever, talking to a friend. To be honest, I feel like the most important conversation you can have is when you're talking to yourself. You know what I mean?
Right.
You know, meaning in a healthy way.
Right.
But kind of circling back is that I think some kind of way we've given a subliminal message that, oh, you're going to go to therapy, everything is going to be okay, and not really emphasizing it takes work. And it's not just the work that you do in therapy. And that's why this is kind of like how I created this self-care, platform for all the self-care platforms that I have, is that it's the stuff that you do before you even go to therapy, after therapy, during therapy is the work. So now I'm like, it takes work, even if you go to therapy, even if somebody takes medication, you still got to do the work. You know what I mean? And there's no way around it. You can't bypass it or anything. And so I just wanted to kind of point that out and really let people, hone in on that, because that is so important. Does it feel good?
Definitely not.
Sometimes you go hurt like, you know what? You know what I mean? And make you think you're going out of your mind.
Right. It's like, man, so yeah, and as you were saying that, I just thought about like a suitcase.
Mm-hmm.
When people, they go on vacation, you're excited because you're going somewhere different. And you go on vacation, but then when you come back, you got all your dirty clothes up in there. And you got to unpack.
Mm-hmm.
And most people don't like unpacking.
Mm-hmm.
I know several people, a whole lot of people, like, hey, I said, man, I unpacked my luggage yet. It's been a week,
Mm-hmm.
I just don't feel like getting to it. So I think a lot of times when we go and, we'll talk to a life coach, a counselor, a therapist, and things like that, it's the unpacking of these things. And that sometimes it can be hurtful. Sometimes it'll take you back to that place that you're actually talking about. But we all know that it's needed, that needs to be unpacked.
Mm-hmm.
Because when you unpack it, you actually releasing it.
Mm-hmm.
And once you release it, you can identify, I pulled it out the bag. Now I can set it right here on the table.
Mm-hmm.
And I can look at it and be like, man, yes, I've been dealing with that. And the other person on the other end can coach you, counsel you, and use therapy techniques to, hey, you know what? You don't need that no more. You can release that and you can let that go. So unpacking, does it hurt? Yes, it does hurt. But when it's all said and done, it's so freeing.
Oh yeah, most definitely.
It's very freeing.
Yeah, and I add to that too, the unpacking and the releasing. And when I say releasing, because again, each person is different. And when I say releasing, just meaning sometimes they may not need to talk, but they need to release it. And that's why too, when it comes to self-care, I'm a big proponent of embodiment practices, whether it's, meditation, exercise, or yoga, martial arts and things like that, any type of movement, because when it comes to emotions, they're in the body and they get stuck. And a lot of times people don't know what to do with it. Sometimes for some people, talking can really help a lot. Sometimes for some people, talking can harm them more. And then for some people, they may just need the embodiment. So that's why I say each person has to really decide for themselves. They may need to try different things to see, what's going to be the most beneficial, because we're all so different in whatsoever. And I believe in, people making the best choices, for themselves. But yeah, that unpacking and being able to look at it from a distance is, hey, that is crucial. Yeah.
Right. And one thing I've been practicing on is just meditation, because it's so new to me, but sitting there, because sometimes even when I'm doing that, my mind is still going.
Yeah.
And sometimes I'm like, okay, Mike, you're really not meditating because your mind is still going. But
That's part of it.
I'm still just working on, okay, let me just work on the breathing. Let me work on this, because the more and more that I do it, the better that I'm going to become at it, So yeah, I may have thoughts running through my mind, but then I'll try to, think about something. So they just clear my mind. I like I'm on the beach, I like I'm standing, on a mountain or something. I'm just looking out into the sky or whatever. And that really helps me out. But that meditation part, like, oh my goodness, it's a game changer.
Mhm. It really is. It
Yeah.
really is. And the thing too about meditation is that the purpose of it isn't to clear your mind because we have so many thoughts. And a lot of times people think that. And
Mhm.
because you're paying a little bit more attention, you notice it more. The purpose of it is really, is almost kind of like to get down to a deeper part of yourself, to connect yourself, connect with yourself in a deeper way.
Okay.
And it's when you experience it, you kind of, I always say sometimes it's hard to describe, but when you experience it, then you'll know. But like you said, the more you practice it, then the more that you're able to sit. And one of the things that I've started telling people is that when it comes to sitting in silence with meditation, when it comes to yoga, when it comes to martial arts, when it comes to personal training, because personal training is the thing that made me think of it, is that these are gentle and safe ways for resilience. Because you're like, I can't sit here. I can't sit here. All this going on. But if you can't do that, that means when the storms of life come, oh my, you're going to really have a hard time. So by you building the discipline of doing those things, because I realized with personal training, it is in alignment with life. Because there have been times when my personal training, especially when he had me doing some leg press, I'm like, is he mad at me? What is he doing? And all kind of stuff started coming up in my mind. And I'm like, oh my gosh. And even sometimes with even some yoga poses, you know? And I'm like, then I can remember certain parts in my life. It's like, this seems familiar. So
Right.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's in alignment with life. So if we're able to discipline ourselves, it, man, just the power of it, you know?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's definitely phenomenal. And, and I love it. So it's like, for me, I'm just trying to do it more and more. I don't get it right because sometimes I miss some days. I'm like, oh man, because I just get up and because that's been my routine.
Yeah,
Get up and go.
yeah,
Now I'm trying to work on to the point. It's like, okay, get up, don't grab your phone,
yeah. Mhm.
you can pray, meditate, and things like that. So that's what I've been trying to work on. So for me, I know it's going to take some time, but I am focused to make that necessary change. Yeah.
And that's the key. That is the key. And so, along those lines, how can men stay calm in the midst of chaos and confusion?
Ooh, I actually talked about this before, but staying calm in the midst of chaos and confusion, I look at it like this. We have to be, we have to be rooted, you know, we have to be rooted in something, there has to be some self-belief about us as who we are as men,
Mhm.
even though things are kind of going crazy, we have to say, you know what? I see it, I recognize it, it's all around me, but I can't let that get to me like that. So what do I need to do to make sure that doesn't happen? Well, one, I need to identify and know who I am first and foremost. Who I am and whose I am. Whatever that person believes in, whatever higher power, higher being that person believes in, knowing who they are and whose they are. That's the thing. Being grounded and rooted in that belief, in their belief, in those teachings, and reminding themselves, hey, this is who I am as a man. This is who I am in my faith. This is who I am in my belief, whatever that thing is. And knowing that, hey, I am capable enough to be calm in the midst of this chaos and confusion. And even though that confusion may get into my thought process, that
Mhm.
chaos is going to get into my thought process. But just as well as it went in there, I'm able to remove it as well, you know, and to have those thoughts of, those positive thoughts, those, I would even say energetic thoughts and things of that nature, those thoughts to enter my mind to say, hey, I'm at peace with myself. I know who I am as a man, and I know affirmations is a big thing right now. So even in those affirmations, reciting those affirmations, even if you got to go grab the book that you actually wrote it down in, Read those things, because what it's going to do, I look at affirmations as water. People who love plants, you have a plant behind you. So, and I'm sure you know, you take care of your plant, you water your plant. Just as much as people love watering plants, I think we need to take those affirmations and use it as water to water ourselves as well, each and every day. So that way, we stay healthy. Two, we are growing, and three, we're becoming stronger. We're expelling all that old bad stuff, you know, and we're allowing ourselves to input all that good stuff. So that's the thing. It's like, once we do that, then yeah, when chaos and confusion comes around, yes, I can do that. But I know some people may say, well, hey, I'm not there yet, Mike. I'm not there yet. When chaos and confusion comes, I lose it. I get it, and I understand that because I've been there also. But here's the thing, even in that, having somebody that you can reach out to, you know, that they will allow you to talk about the chaos and confusion, you know, regardless if you're upset, frustrated, agitated, crying, whatever, you don't know your next move, to the point that somebody can stand in the gap with you and say, you know what, I can cover you, I can shield you, you know, while you get yourself together. That's the thing. And then allowing that person to be there for you, but at the same time, while that person is covering you, you get yourself together. And then you take, because I believe in the transfer of energy. I believe the transfer of power.
Oh yeah.
If we're hanging around each other and you're upbeat and bright and happy, coming in with positive energy, you know, and I may be a little bit low that day, but you come around, oh, Sharon, she's at work. Okay, cool. You know, and, you know, hey, Mike, how you doing? What's going on? I'm like, you know what? I needed that. I needed some energy, you know, and that's the thing. We have to transfer this positive energy. We have to allow to our words to express the way that we feel towards one another. To say, hey, that's not you, brother. You know, even with the women, that's not you, sis. You're better than that. You're stronger than that. You know, and you just pour and you pour and you pour, to the point that it's like helping out a dying plant. You taking care of that plant. You know, you're removing all the dead leaves. You know, you're changing the soil, you know, or you're breaking up the soil and you're getting the water up in there, you know, allowing that stuff to get the nutrients and things of that nature to get inside. And those words, that encouragement, that positive energy, all that stuff is the nutrients and the water that we need. So that's what I would say when it comes down to that part right there. Knowing who we are, having that self-belief, and knowing who we are and whose we are. Who we belong.
Yeah. Most definitely. And I like the fact that you say, you know, pretty much water yourself, you know, and that's really important. And the other thing is too, for people to remember, is that when it comes to confusion and chaos, is that it's temporary. You know, even though, I mean, even like with this pandemic, even though it's been going on for 2 years, but even still, it's still temporary. Yes. You know, maybe certain aspects of it may linger on, you know, but again, we're not where we were in the beginning, you know, and as we learn things, you know, I would say in taking care of ourselves, you know, is an improvement when it comes along with that. And then the other thing, when you were talking about it, it reminded me kind of like what you were saying in the beginning when you were talking about planning and having those goals. And so that's the other thing that men can do, is that in that confusion and chaos, you know, you can have that peace within you and to be able to go back and look forward to the future. Because if your focus is on that piece of it and not just what's happening right now, I mean, some things happening right now may need to be taken care of, but as long as, quote unquote, people are safe and healthy, then you can definitely focus on, you know, your goals. It's like, oh, this is not within my goals, so let me move on.
Exactly. That is so true. That is so true. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. You know, and it's a phenomenal thing once we get to that point of, I like to say the phrase moment of clarity, because I think we are all searching for a moment of clarity in some aspect of our lives, you know, And I know as men, we deal with so much, and a lot of stuff that we deal with, we don't even talk about. We just kind of tuck it in. Like, I'm just going to put that there. I'll get to that later on. And the next thing you know, we don't tuck something else up in there, and more and more and more stuff up in there. Now, that stuff is starting to eat at us. And and I always used to say, hey, take the opportunity just to get it off your chest. Talk to somebody. And some men don't like talking to people. But I say, hey, if you don't like talking to them, grab your notebook and just journal, write it down.
Oh yeah.
And get it out. If you don't like to write, type it up on something, and just get it out, just be able to express it and free yourself from that. Yeah. So that's important as well too.
Most definitely.
Yeah.
And so with the Man Initiative, what's you have coming up? What's going on with it?
Okay, so what's coming up right now? Actually got a membership group that I'm starting up. So within the membership group, it's going to be me. So I'm going to be coaching and I'm going to be teaching and training as well. But this is an opportunity just for me to come into this group. We're focusing on things like leadership, communication. We're focusing on mindset, emotional intelligence, all of these things. And with that, we have a book club as well. So my thing is, I want men to be able to read more books. So that way they can identify some things within themselves, but it can encourage them as well. And then also, it'll help us increase our vocabulary. So it's so much that it comes from out of that.
Oh yeah, most definitely.
Yeah. But I definitely want more men to, to read more books. To say, hey, look, I never read a book all the way through before. Okay, cool. That's fine. We're going to do it here. So we do a new book every month. So that, and it's a phenomenal thing. It's going to be a phenomenal membership group. But along with that, I'm also doing group coaching as well for men. And this is just a place that we just come together on Zoom and say, hey, we'll talk about anything that's pressing on us right now, anything that needs to be talked about, and whatnot. Of course, everything's going to be facilitated by me. But going forth with that, giving men the floor, the opportunity to talk, judgment free, no bashing, none of that stuff. I want men to be able to have a safe place that they can just open up and they can just talk, and then other men can identify to those pain points that particular man can talk about. I've been through that. I know what you're feeling right now. And here's what I did to help myself out. Or here's some things that could potentially help you out. So it's really, as the Bible says, iron sharpens iron, so does the countenance of his friend. So, we're there to support each other. We're there to sharpen each other. We're there to help each other out. So that's the coaching group. The membership group, we're focusing on leadership, communication, emotional intelligence. And then with the book club, I think that's a great thing. I'm so excited about it. I'm so ready for this thing.
Oh yeah. One thing I do believe in is that we're influenced by the images that we see and the voices that we hear. And so when it comes to the images, and I guess that goes into the voices too, is like when it comes to books, it's like the more that we read, and I would say the more we read, the more that we watch things that can build us, then that is just so, it just expands us, it's growth. That's the other thing, that kind of how I got into the self-care thing. Some of it was personal, but along with that, when I started watching videos and listening to podcasts and reading certain things, and I was able to identify with, it's like, oh, wow. So yeah, you're right.
Right.
It's just so much. And, and it also reminds me too, it made me realize I can see why certain society didn't want Blacks to read, I hadn't always been, a reader per se. Like when it came to my field, I did what I needed to do, but anything outside of that, I'm better now. I'm much better now. And especially when what I encourage people to do is like, whatever is your cultural, it's like, if you got a hobby, I'm about to say a habit, that too, but if you got a hobby or a profession or whatever it may be, yeah, there's things out there, but also make sure you read it or study it from your cultural point of view, because it
Right.
makes a big difference.
Oh, yeah.
It makes a big difference. Not saying that the other things isn't relevant or not true, but the way that it impacts you culturally, as a Black person, it just makes a big difference.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, most definitely. And so I know with the book club, and we reading a book every month. And I'm looking at to the point of, hey, let's read more books by Black authors.
Exactly.
Not to say there's anything wrong with any other authors and things like that, but hey, let's get some time and attention to that. Let's get some time and attention to self-improvement. Let's get some time and attention to the stuff that men go through, because sometimes we can read something, because I read this book called For the Love of Men, and it was a lot of information up in there. I was like, I didn't know that. I didn't know that. I didn't know that was one of the things that some men struggle with, things like that. So just to be able to have that outlet and be able to inform other men, hey, this is stuff that's going on. This is stuff that we should know about. Like even just talking about it, like you see, I got the smile on my face. Like
I see that.
Yes, I'm ready for it. I'm ready for it. I'm ready for it. Yes, I am. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Well, before we end, by this being self-care for Black men, I have a couple questions regarding self-care. So what does self-care mean to you?
Ooh, great question. So I practice self-care Sundays. That's my day to do whatever I want to do, and then some Sundays, I just do whatever. But for the most part, self-care Sundays for me. So self-care for me is, hey, if I just want to jump in the shower and just throw on some lounge clothes and just chill around the house all day long, I'm gonna do that. Nobody is in my ear gate saying, why are you doing this? Anything like that. I know a lot of men like playing video games. And I know the stigma of grown men playing video games is like, oh no, you're a grown man, you're not supposed to be doing that. But hey, if that puts them in a place of peace, a place of zen, a place of just like, I'm comfortable and I'm good, then yes, I think that man should play video games, because he's not doing that, but he's at peace and he's comfortable. And that even helps us with our mindset. That helps us with our temperament, that helps us with our attitude. So self-care for me is pretty much, hey, identify those things that you like to do, but also implementing some new things that you haven't done before, because a lot of men have not meditated. A lot of men have not went to the spa. A lot of men have not, took a walk, in the forest or nature or whatever and stuff like just, just to be around something different. Put yourself in a different environment. You know how peaceful it is just to sit next to a stream, and just listen to the water just rush by, and it's nothing. You hear no cars. You hear nature. Oh my, that does something to you. It's like a reset. It's like, oh my goodness. And then you get back into the city, it's like, whew, like all that stress and weight is off of you.
Yeah.
So I definitely say, doing something that you haven't done before. If it's a walk in the park, going to a forest, going for a run, a hike. If the guy's a gamer, he plays his video games. If you just want to lounge around the house, hey, whatever. If you just want to sit up there, hey, I'm a sports guy and I wanted to watch sports in all day long, but I'm relaxing, and I'm just watching TV. So I'll say, pick a day for that self-care, or some people may want to pick a couple of days for the self-care. I pick one day, so okay, this is my day. Let me do this. I'm just going to hang out, relax, or I may go for a drive, a nice Sunday drive. Springtime's about to be here. Roll the windows down, let the rooftop open, things like that, and just go out for a nice drive and just do something different. So yeah, for me, that would be self-care.
Cool. And so what would you consider to be your top 3 self-care rituals, practice, I guess you said, that you would put into your self-care toolbox? What would be the 3 things, your top 3?
For me, reading, that would be one of them. So that way I'm taking my mind off the cares of the world. I'm taking my mind off the things that I need to focus on or whatever, that I really don't need to have no attention on that right now at that moment.
Mhm.
Read, that's the thing for me. Second, I love sitting outside. It's just something about sitting outside on my front porch, not doing nothing, just sitting,
Mhm.
you know, that's what I like. So if a guy has a deck in the backyard or whatever, or he puts a chair out there in the middle of the backyard, or sit around the fire pit or whatever it is, yeah, just put yourself, get some fresh air. I would say that. Read, get some fresh air, and then take care of your body the best way that you can. So if it's just, hey, I may not go to the gym, but I can walk around the neighborhood,
Mhm.
let me focus on my water intake,
Mhm.
let me look at the things that I'm eating. Let me try to eat more fruits and more vegetables, and things, and being more aware of that. So yeah, so reading, fresh air, water, fruits, vegetables, yes, that would be my top three.
But pretty much healthy nutrition intake.
Yes, exactly.
And so, how can people get in touch with you, especially those who may be interested in the new programs that you have?
Yeah, so to get in touch with me, they can actually go to my website, themaninitiative.com. They can go to the website. If they're interested for the coaching group, it'll pop up on the screen and they can just click on that and they can just put their name on, not the coaching group, the membership group, and they can put their name on the wait list. So themaninitiative.com. If they would like to email me, they can email me at info@themaninitiative.com.
Okay.
Reach me there also. And if they want to follow me on social media, IG is the Man Initiative. Um, and Facebook is the Man. I was going to say TikTok, but I changed that one. So Facebook and Instagram at the Man Initiative. They can find
Okay.
me as well.
And any last words before we end?
Yes. So I just want to say to men, even in the midst of what's going on right now with the pandemic, maybe a potential war at place that could potentially happen, maybe job situation is not well, things on a home front is not well, or whatever it is, whatever that vice is, that's something that's has a hold on you. Just know that you have the power, the energy, and the strength to actually deal with those things. We've been taught so much by society rules. Society says a man has to do this, a man has to do that, a man needs to be this way, a man needs to be that way. I can't be like no other man, and no other man can be like me. So be true to yourself and who you are as a man. And when I'm saying man, I'm not just speaking to straight men, I'm speaking to all men. you know that's what I'm talking to. Be who you are as a man. Be true to yourself. Use your voice. Recognize the strength and the power that you have within yourself, and know that you are fully capable and able to do anything that you need to do to make yourself better for yourself and to make yourself better for other people. Trouble don't last always. It's temporary. Things are going to happen. That's a part of life. That's a part of life. And don't worry about the naysayers. Naysayers, they get paid to say nay. They get paid to say that. So don't focus on the naysayers. Put yourself around positive people. Put yourself around a group of people that are like-minded, a group of people that's going to challenge you, a group of people that knows more than what you know, because you need that to level up. You need that to grow up, to get up to that next step, to that next level. So those will be my parting words to men out there.
Well, thank you for those words, because they're definitely needed.
Oh yeah, most definitely. So, and I know a lot of things I speak about, I speak from experience,
Mhm.
and a lot of things I know about because I've taught myself, trained myself in that, and I've been trained in those things. So yeah, just speaking from experience. I love what I do.
Amen on that.
Amen, amen.
Hey, and men definitely need you.
Oh yeah, most definitely. Yeah, I'm here. So like I said, you guys, if you want to get in contact with me, they can shoot me a DM on Instagram or Facebook. Most
Well,
definitely.
again, thank you for joining us for the Voices for Black Men.